Today in Australia, a great injustice was righted with Kathleen Folbigg, a woman who served 20 years in jail for the alleged taking of the lives of her 4 children, being found to be not guilty of those offences. And the story is truly remarkable. Let's begin with who is Kathleen Folbigg. Kathleen Folbigg, who is now 56, is a woman who had an incredibly difficult life. At 18 months old, her father took the life of her mother and was sentenced to custody overseas, and so she became a ward of the state before being moved from foster homes until eventually she left the system at about 15 to marry her husband, Mr. Folbigg. Now, that baby is found to have some issues breathing by a pediatrician who says they'll outgrow it, but tragically that baby passes at about 10 days old. Her next baby, who is a son, has a really bad health issue within the first few days of life, and at 19 days old passes away. She then has a daughter who passes away at 10 months old and another daughter that passes away at 18 months old. So she loses 4 children in like the saddest way possible. Her husband goes and reads her diaries, and in her diaries are thoughts and comments that he attributes to her wanting to harm their children. Now, there is no direct evidence linking her to any crimes. There is diary entries that she makes, that those diary entries can be interpreted in one light to be adverse to her, but in another light to be that of a grieving mother. She's charged because of a now defunct principle called Meadows Law. And Meadows Law essentially says the following: that 1 child's passing is a tragedy, 2 child is suspicious, 3 and more is definitely foul play unless proved otherwise. This poor woman goes through a 7-week trial where she's then found guilty and she gets sentenced to 40 years. She then enters this process where there's a conviction appeal which doesn't succeed, but some time gets reduced. She's savagely assaulted while in custody. A book comes out which casts real doubts on the validity of the conviction. There is then an inquiry which says that there isn't reasonable suspicion, another inquiry, and it goes back and forth until finally a group of doctors and a very dedicated legal team petition the governor saying, listen, there was these genetic abnormalities which explain everything. The governor pardons her and allows her out, and now the Court of Appeal, having reviewed everything, has found that there's reasonable doubt, which means this poor woman is not guilty of these offences. She served 20 years in jail. She lost 4 of her children. Her name is synonymous with the idea that you take your children's lives. And while it's fantastic that she's out, it's horrible that she ended up in this situation to begin with. And I hope this woman has nothing but joy and pleasure for the rest of her days, because what was done to her was awful. Let this be a lesson for any swami, I told you so people who think the law always gets it right, because it doesn't. Follow me for more legal